Sir Jeffrey Dawes.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Right Honourable Member for South Swindon for his comments and wish him well in his ongoing work as Chair of the Northern Ireland Affairs Committee, a very important work that it is. And I do want to say also to the Honourable Member for St Helens North, who is not in his place, that of course we recognise that with the pressures on our public services at this time, we want to get to a place where we will see our political institutions restored on a sustainable basis. And as the Shadow Secretary of State reminded us, on a basis that Unionists as well as Nationalists can support. Because that principle of cross-community consensus is at the heart of the Belfast and successor agreements. And it is the key element and principle that enables those institutions to operate in what remains a divided society in Northern Ireland. To be absolutely clear, Mr Deputy Speaker, the Democratic Unionist Party supports the devolution. We support the concept of the people of Northern Ireland being able to elect their representatives and to have good government delivered through those institutions, the Northern Ireland Assembly and the Northern Ireland Executive. And so we are very clear that our objective is twofold. Firstly, to address the issues and the problems created by the Northern Ireland Protocol as part of the withdrawal agreement of 2019-2020 and provide the basis for the restoration of our political institutions. We are approaching the 2-year mark now since my party took the decision to withdraw the First Minister, and that then precipitated a process that ultimately resulted in the institutions not being able to function. That was not a decision we took lightly. And for months in advance of that decision, I made clear, my party made clear, we wanted to see a negotiating process underway between the Government of the United Kingdom and the European Union to address the very real problems created by the Protocol. And sadly, those pleas were ignored. And there was no process. In fact, we were told variously by Irish government ministers, EU representatives, and so on, that the Protocol would not be renegotiated. So I stand today and I recognise that as a result of the actions my party has taken, the EU were brought back to the table. There were negotiations. Changes have occurred. And further change will come as a result of our actions. You know, as I watch the political discourse back home in Northern Ireland and I listen to the commentary of some who share our concerns about the Protocol and its impact on Northern Ireland, but who at this moment in time are talking up that some deal has been done, that clearly they think they know the detail, and that it falls short of what they need or require. But I will say this, Mr Deputy Speaker. My party can stand over its record of the change we have delivered and will deliver. And I say to those who point the finger at us, what have you delivered? What has the traditional Unionist Voice party delivered by way of change to the Protocol? Absolutely nothing. Not a single thing. Nothing. And yet they put up posters in the dark of the night before any deal has been done, talking about a sellout. Well, what have they sold? What have they delivered for the people of Northern Ireland? What has been their contribution to securing the change that we need to restore our place in the United Kingdom and its internal market? And we read lots of other pearls of wisdom on social media about what is needed, what is required. And we hear all kinds of speculation from the commentators about what has been agreed, despite the fact they haven't seen the detail. And there is undoubtedly an attempt to orchestrate opposition to a deal that has not yet taken place, an agreement that is not yet concluded. And the very fact that we're sat here today in this House of Commons extending legislation reflects the fact, the reality, that no agreement has yet been reached. If it were, we wouldn't be here. And yet, there are some who, for their own narrow purposes, are putting it about that certain things have been agreed, that it's all there, and they know what it is. They are entitled to their view. Everyone is entitled to their perspective. But I say this: wait until an agreement is reached before you make your final verdict. Assess the progress that has been made before you reach your conclusion. But I suspect what is going on is not about that. The truth is, Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are some, a tiny minority, but there are some who don't want Stormont back, who don't want an assembly in Northern Ireland, who, and I quote, would rather have imperfect direct rule than an imperfect Stormont. That is what they say. And yet they're the same people who berate the government of the United Kingdom and this Parliament for selling them out constantly, who constantly point the finger at the United Kingdom government and say, you've sold us short, you've betrayed us, you've let us down, and yet they want to hand all the power back to that government. That is not the view of the vast majority of unionists or people in Northern Ireland. And we understand that, which is why we are committed to getting a solution, to moving things forward, to making progress, to resolving the issues that have harmed Northern Ireland, our economy, our businesses, and yes, our place in the United Kingdom. I am a proud unionist. I am proud to be part of this United Kingdom. I am proud to have served my country in this Parliament for almost 27 years. I'm proud of the service that I've given, unlike some others, to my country when I put on the uniform of the Ulster Defence Regiment to protect everyone in the community from terrorism and violence. And yet today, because of the stirring up that is going on, I was threatened. Threatened by those who never put on a uniform, by those who haven't served our country. And when I checked out, one of the people who threatened me on the register didn't vote at the last election. Can't even come out to vote for our future in the Union, never mind do anything about it. And yet they're threatening people like me, who's working day and night to try and find solutions and to move Northern Ireland forward on a basis that the vast majority of people can support. Well, I will just say this to those who stir up and those who threaten. The Provisional IRA attacked me in the past, and it didn't deflect me from the task that I have and my colleagues have to do our job and to get the best that we can for Northern Ireland. And I will not be deflected now. I will continue on the course. I will continue to engage with the government until we get the progress that is needed to enable us to take a decision about whether it is sufficient to restore the political institutions. And let's not forget, when we took the decision to come out of the institutions, it was about the protocol. It's about restoring Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom and its internal market. It's about ensuring that when goods are flowing from Great Britain to Northern Ireland and staying within the United Kingdom, they flow freely. It is about ensuring that our place in the economic union is respected and protected in law, and it's about ensuring that our place in the political union is respected and protected in law. That is important. That is what we are striving to achieve, to ensure that in terms of Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom, it is valued, it is respected, and it is protected. That our right to trade within our own country is respected and protected. That is what we are aiming to achieve. But I make no apology, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that we're also aiming to strengthen our ties across this United Kingdom. Devolution in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland has altered the way that we govern in this nation. Brexit, our decision to leave the European Union, has altered things. And that is why, as part of what we are proposing, we want to see a more joined up, a more cohesive approach across the Union, working together on economic issues, trade issues, education, health, that we are joined up on those matters. So we're working to make progress on this. I also want to say something else, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I find quite insulting. When the Secretary of State convened talks at Hillsborough to discuss the funding of our public services in Northern Ireland, I didn't ask the Secretary of State to do that. I am very clear. For me, this is not about the money. This is about Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom. And when we've made the progress that I hope we will make, we will sit down with the government and we will finalise arrangements in relation to the future sustainability of our political institutions, the funding of our public services. But I do want to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to echo the comments that have been made by other colleagues in the House this afternoon. Our public services are only as effective as the people who work in them. And we saw during the COVID pandemic our healthcare workers on the front line working hard, our doctors, our nurses, our ancillary staff, our care workers, all working, taking risks, putting themselves on the line. In education, our teachers investing in the future of our young people, and many others who work across our public services in Northern Ireland. They deserve their pay rise. They have earned their pay rise. It is essential to the delivery of our public services that they get their pay rise. And I hope that the Secretary of State, in advance of reaching an agreement, whenever that might be, on the outstanding issues, which I believe we are moving towards finalising those outstanding issues, then I would hope the Secretary of State for 2023-24 will transfer the funding that the Treasury have committed to and enable our public sector workers to have the pay rise that they deserve. We do not want to see politics played with them, and I urge the government to do that. And today I noted that the Irish Congress of Trade Unions, Northern Ireland, have come out with yet another statement calling on the Secretary of State to act, and I echo their comments. They deserve the pay rise, and I do hope the Secretary of State will reflect upon this. So in conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, some have said that they hope this is the last time that we have this type of legislation. But that requires us to reach agreement. It requires us to resolve and finalise the outstanding issues so that we can move forward. We can assess the progress that has been made, and we can take decisions around the restoration of our political institutions if that is the way we are to go. But I am clear, my colleagues are clear. This is not about any price. We have fought hard and will continue to fight hard to get the outcomes that we need for everyone in Northern Ireland, to restore that cross-community consensus that is essential for the proper functioning of our devolved institutions in Northern Ireland. We will work at that. And I simply say to my fellow Unionists in Northern Ireland, whatever their political persuasion or background. The notion that a unionism that turns in on itself is a unionism that can deliver for Northern Ireland, to make Northern Ireland work, to secure the Union for the future, is not the way to go. It is not the way to go. We will provide the leadership that is required, because that is what is necessary to make Northern Ireland work, to ensure that our place in the Union is valued, is respected and protected in law and in practice, to remove the barriers to trade that enable us to trade in both directions with the rest of the United Kingdom, to ensure that our Union is stronger and that Northern Ireland's place within it is both respected and protected. That's what we're aiming to achieve. We will assess the outcome against our 7 tests that we have set out very clearly, determine the progress that's been made, and make our decisions based upon these matters. We will do so rationally and clearly recognising that we are the custodians of Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. On our shoulders rests a huge responsibility. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we will not shirk that responsibility, and we will not be found wanting in continuing to defend Northern Ireland's place in the Union.